Hey, hello, everybody. This is Howard, the professor, the Teaserking, many aliases, here for week 8 of college football. So I just looked at the latest lines and the latest injuries. As of now, you don't know what can happen tomorrow. I'm playing tonight's game, Coastal Carolina App State. I like Coastal Carolina in the game. I got 4.5, 5 on the line. Over under of 60, I think. It's an A team against the B team. Coastal Carolina's got the best quarterback in college football, Grayson McCall. It's just funny when you hear these analysts or announcers go, "Oh, this guy's the best," and they don't include this guy. You got to be they don't know what they're talking about. I was in the radio. I was in the car listening on the radio, some DraftKings or some bullshit radio show. It's actually a show, and the guy is so bad. His picks are not based on analyzing the teams and a matchup and injuries and everything. His picks are strictly based on the point spread. So if the spread's laying 4, he takes it. He doesn't even know which team it is. And if it's -3, he takes this team, -2, -6. I've never heard such an idiot in my life. So he's telling me he's so stupid he doesn't understand matchups or doesn't understand teams and can't pick the game based on the team. He says, I don't care. It's whatever the number says. So where are you getting your numbers from? And this is where I argue of where you getting your numbers from. And what are you determining your number? And you really can't do it. I mean, you can take like averages and try to get a number like that, but you really, to say I'm taking a 3 or 4 because you can't do it. It's just, it's impossible to do what he's doing without understanding the teams, the injuries, the quarterback, the coaches. He was talking about the Denver-Cleveland game. Well, the whole Cleveland team's out. Mayfield's out, Chubb's out, Hunt's out, Beckham's out, and he's still, I like Cleveland. And you're like, what, are you out of your mind? Well, Case Keenum. Well, hey, have you seen Case Keenum play? I mean, he was okay, but he doesn't even have starting receivers to throw the ball to. So I just sit there and I look at this guy. I'm on the radio. I'm in my car listening on the radio going, this guy's the dumbest guy I've ever seen. It's like the analytics where the guy goes on 4th down and they go for it, 4th and 3 at their own 20-yard line because analytics says so. Like, well, your odds are 52% you'll make it. Yeah. Well, against this defense, are you insane? Or these 2-point conversions, all this math. You can't use math in football. It doesn't work. Anyway, so let's go through some of this is a strange week. I don't have my Georgia to play under. Some of the games, the spreads are a bit much. But let's walk through them. Let me know if there's any games that you want me to talk about. Just put it in the comments. I'm not going to go through every game. I'll just go through some key games. Games I think we should talk about. Middle Tennessee State's a Friday game against Connecticut. They're laying 15. Middle Tennessee's an over team, so they score a lot. They give up a lot. So they don't have a great defense, but they give up a lot. And here's Connecticut, a Z team who can't score in a really weak defense. I kind of like the point spread only being 15. I kind of am leaning towards Middle Tennessee State there. I see the over-under at 55. So the question is Connecticut going to score? Then you go over because Middle Tennessee is going to put up a lot. Or if they're not going to score, you don't mess with the over. You just take Middle Tennessee State. So I like Middle Tennessee State. I think they can tease it down to 9. Beating Massachusetts beat Connecticut. So Connecticut's really a terrible team. And I don't see why Middle Tennessee, who can throw the ball. See, that's what you like a team that's an over team will blow out of Connecticut because they're going to score and score and score. It's the teams that are the under teams that don't score a lot or they run the ball more that you're going to have more problems because they're just not used to putting up a big number. Memphis, UCF. UCF was a 1-point favorite, a 2-point favorite. Now I see Memphis as a 1-point favorite. I have Memphis favored by 7. Again, Gabriel, the quarterback, UCF's gone for the year with the broken collarbone. The backup, had a rough time against Cincinnati. But that was about it. So I don't, how good's the backup, we don't know. But Memphis has been struggling too, but they've been scoring. They got a good quarterback as usual. I always have a good quarterback, but at UCF, I don't know. Say UCF stats are all screwed up. This is why I talked about what I talked about in the beginning. Under Gabriel, they're an over. Under Mikey Keene, who the hell knows? I mean, I think scoring 14 against Cincinnati was a big deal, but here I don't know. So you don't know anything about this quarterback. Therefore, he could light it up, and the over would be the good play. If Gabriel was playing, this would be an over. But because it's not, I can't look at it. If I do anything here, it'll take Memphis in 5, I guess, or if it goes back to even. But Memphis is the better team here. And also, I don't know what happened to the coach at UCF. The Cincinnati, all I read was the Cincinnati coach was praying for the UCF coach, who was the Auburn coach, who got fired from Auburn and now is at UCF. And I don't know if he's still in the hospital or what. So I don't know if you hear anything. If he's not coaching, it makes it even harder. The last game Friday night, Washington, Arizona. Washington laying 17.5, over under 46. Arizona's quarterback's out, Cruz. They got the backup playing. They got shut out by a good Colorado defense, like 34-0. Colorado doesn't have a strong offense. They have a good defense. Now, to show you, Colorado was a 7-point favorite last week. Arizona, Washington's a 17-point road favorite. Washington lost to UCLA last week, like 31-24, I believe, or 24-17. They lost by a touchdown. But in this case, here's where I was just made the comment about the Middle Tennessee State Connecticut game. Here you have a Z team in Arizona, but you have an under team in Washington. So Washington, the quarterback's terrible. They don't really have that superstar running back. So they can score, but not a lot. So then what do you do with this game? You can see the over-under is only 46, but the Middle Tennessee Connecticut over-under is 55. So here you have a problem. Do I take Washington at 11.5? I can't take Arizona. Or do I go under 52 because Washington doesn't really have a strong offense? And that's really the key to the bet. If you feel Washington is, you lay 11.5. I don't know. Arizona is terrible. Washington isn't really much better, and it's at Arizona, so it's a game I'm probably going to watch. My thought was to take Washington because Colorado 34-0 them, and Washington will probably shut them out, which then maybe makes the under more attractive because then it's under 52. Washington's not going to score 52 points, but they should shut them out with their defense. But, they're an under team. Massachusetts, now we're on Saturday against Florida State. Florida State's laying 35, over under 60. UMass is another Z team, but they did beat Connecticut. Sorry, I was running around a lot today. Florida State, lane 35. Now, Mackenzie Milton's not been quarterbacking. The other guy has the dual-purpose pass-run quarterback. They won big last week. They're laying 35 at home. They should score 50 points on UMass. UMass might get 14 or 17. So it's one of those. It's almost an over because Florida State will put up a big number in this game. Question is, how much is Mash going to do? I mean, they seem to start scoring a little bit. I think they played they played somebody and they scored like 14 points. She thought, well, maybe their offense is getting better, but it's probably a Florida State play just because they should score a lot, and they already got their backup quarterback. Unless Milton comes in a mop-up role. I don't know if his knee's right and he's not playing, but he doesn't look the same. And of course, he sat out 2 years and almost lost his legs. So you can understand that. Ohio State laying 20 to Indiana. Now here I like Ohio State. This is definitely a good play. I think they kill Indiana. Penix is hurt with the shoulder. The backup played for against Michigan State, and they threw about 50 passes. They didn't get a lot of points. Now Ohio State's offense and defense is better than Michigan State's. So the fact Michigan State held them to 15, I think Ohio State holds them, under 20, but Ohio State's going to really light them up. So I can see Ohio State getting in the 40s. Over under a 60. That's a tough one when they played Michigan State to a 20 to 15 last week. So I think that number's high. I think the play here is Ohio State minus 14. They lost to Oregon. They need to win to make the playoffs. If they lose to Indiana, they're out of the playoffs. That's the incentive enough right there. So I love the playoff. Now the teams that are good have to roll it up against to make the playoff. Because you've got Georgia 1, you got Cincinnati, Alabama. So we're looking for a fourth team. I doubt it'll be Clemson. Clemson just doesn't look good this year. But they did lose to Georgia, which is now the number 1 team, so it makes their loss look better. So it'll be Ohio State and Clemson, it looks like. Maybe Oak State or Baylor if they run the table. But Baylor has the loss. Oak State doesn't. So if Oak State runs the table and wins, I can see them being the fourth team. They got a really good defense. So let's go with Ohio State has to win. Buffalo and Akron, I'm like, I don't know. Something's wrong with Buffalo this year. This isn't a normal team, so I'm staying away from them. But Akron's a pretty weak team. If this was normal Buffalo, this would be a lock. I'd laying 11 down to 5. But this year's Buffalo team, they seem to have problems with wide receivers. The quarterback's okay, but he's not throwing for a lot of yards. He doesn't throw for a lot of touchdowns. They lost the running backs. So maybe teams are playing the pass more, and he can't do it. Maybe he lost receivers to injuries, or they graduated or whatever. But it's not the same Buffalo team. Okay, Penn State laying 23 to Illinois. Illinois is an under team. Penn State's an A. So Illinois plays Wisconsin 24-0. They don't score. Penn State's defense is probably just as good, if not better, than Wisconsin's. I don't look for Illinois to score much here. However, I don't look for Penn State to score much here if Sean Clifford's not the quarterback, which he's questionable with an upper body injury. They don't say what it is. They're just saying upper body. Well, if he doesn't play, first of all, they're laying 23, and if it's their backup quarterback, they'll never cover that. So if Clifford's not playing, the proper play here is under 46 down to 52, because Illinois is not going to score, but has a very good defense. Penn State's defense is very good. So you got two good defenses, and if Penn State doesn't have Clifford, even if they have Clifford, I'm not sure it goes over 52. But with Clifford injured, does he, maybe he plays a little, but I don't know. And again, reading these injuries, he's questionable. So watch the line. The line's 23. If you see the line go to 26, he's probably playing. If the line, I guess, stays at 23, goes to 22, he's probably out. So if the line goes down at all, he's out. Take the under. But it's probably, without Clifford, it's a really good underplay because Illinois won't score. Louisville 6 over Boston College, over under 57. Louisville's an over team. Cunningham, their quarterback's good quarterback, and he runs. He's like Lamar Jackson, but he's the better passer. BC, I don't know. Their quarterback's out for the year, but their backup's played 4 or 5 games now. So he's pretty much set. I have them as a B team. And again, their starter only played a game or two. So you've got these averages are based on the new quarterback. It's hard to say. I almost think Louisville, even in the teaser, is a good bet. I like it over because I think Louisville puts up 30 points. BC, I think, could put up 30 points. Like, I don't think this backup's too bad. And Louisville's defense is terrible. So that's why it's hard to play Louisville with this defense. Even the backup quarterback who played now 4 or 5 games is playing. So I probably like the game over more than anything because Louisville, strong offense, no defense. Todd. Hi, Todd. Thanks for your input for last week's games. I hit 2 teaser tickets. You're welcome. Thanks to the pay. Yeah, UCLA is I was laying 1, I think, at home versus UCLA is laying 1.5 or 2 to Oregon. USC's at Notre Dame. Let me just finish my thought. So Louisville, I think, over because they're weak defense. They don't know what they're doing. BC, I think the kids can get enough points to get over 51. Again, it's hard to take a Louisville even in the game because their defense is so bad. So I think BC, they played Clemson. They played some tough teams, so I think they'll do all right. Now to get on to your question, UCLA, here's how I look at UCLA, Oregon. I got UCLA 2.5 now over Oregon, over under a 60. Oregon's got a lot of injuries, but not key injuries. So they're line guys, but not their quarterback. And let's remember, they walked into Ohio State and won, even though it was early and the Ohio State quarterback was new. This is a very, very even game, I think. Oregon's quarterback's very good, so is UCLA's. I think there'll be points in the game. Now, UCLA played Washington, and it was, like I said, I think it was, well, let me get the score. It was UCLA, Washington. So UCLA wins 24-17 against Washington, who's got that good defense. Over-under was 55. It came nowhere near it, but we liked UCLA as the dog. So this is where you get to the role play. So UCLA, great dog. Washington's an under team. Oregon's a pretty strong team here. Again, they won at Ohio State. You got to respect that. I've got Oregon favored by 3. Now UCLA, that's my line. UCLA is favored by 2.5. Over under 60. So I'm not going to touch the over under. I honestly think Oregon's the play here, getting 8.5. Like I said, you go to Ohio State and win. It's not a big deal to go to UCLA and win. Again, UCLA is more of a good offensive team. They're kind of an over, so their defense is very strong. Oregon I got as a B team, so they got a good offense and a good defense. So in my judgment, I like Oregon getting 8.5, even though I like UCLA, but this is like poker. Every hand's different, right? So in this case, I don't like UCLA as a favorite over Oregon. Okay, so let's take everything away. Just look at the game. No spread. Who's going to win it? And you can't say UCLA is an easy winner like if they were playing Arizona or like we had 2 weeks ago. I locked UCLA over Arizona, and they won. They covered it for us. So if you just look at the game, UCLA-Oregon with no spread, 24-20 maybe, and maybe that's Oregon. Maybe it's UCLA. But there's no way this is a runaway. And could Oregon easily win? Yes. They had Stanford beat, and they beat Ohio State. So they have to win the Pac-12 North. And there's Oregon State they got to play, who's a really good team this year. And they got to play Washington. So Oregon's got their hands full. UCLA, again, Arizona State and Utah are big there. which I don't think they played either. Well, they might have played Arizona State, but I know USC played Utah. I don't think UCLA has. So basically, you have a good game, but I think Oregon gets the defensive edge. I think the game's even. So I honestly like Oregon an 8.5 in this game. I think it's this is a even game. Tease the dog, and I almost think because Oregon's got a better defense, I don't think it's really an even game. I think Oregon's a little bit better, not a lot better, but if Oregon was a 3-point favorite, yeah, I'd be all over UCLA in 9, absolutely. But you're making UCLA the favorite probably because they're at home, which doesn't really mean much. As Oregon went to Ohio State, didn't mean much. So I like Oregon 8.5. Real strong play. So good question, Todd. This is where you've got to be analytical. This is where it's not numbers, it's feel. And this is why I rank the teams, right? So when I hear the idiots on the radio going, well, I like it at 2, but I don't. I like the other team at 3.5. Da, 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 da. Like, what is he doing? He's not analyzing the teams. He doesn't know what he's doing. So here I'm saying Oregon, A, they beat Ohio State at Ohio State. B, they're pretty strong defensively, and I like their quarterback. Yeah, they have some injuries, but not the quarterback. Nobody really critical. Maybe, I don't know, the running back, how strong he is, but I don't think they have like that superstar running back. And then UCLA, again, I like them, but I think this is a case you tease the dog. So you got to know the teams, and that's what we're looking at here. Back to where I was. Syracuse, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech lane 3.5, over under 45. I really like the under in this game. 51. I'll tell you why. Syracuse is a B team this year. And they played my Clemson team 17. Well, they're not mine. They played them, I think it was 17-14 with the missed field goal at the end to tie the game, go to overtime. So they're hanging with Clemson. Virginia Tech did nothing last week. Pitt beat them 28-7. So you got Pitt beating them 28-7. They don't score on Pitt, and Syracuse's defense is just as good as Pitt's, I think. I got them as a B. So Syracuse is a good team. And again, they found 14 on Clemson and should have been 17. The kid missed the extra point field goal at the end of the game. So once you see Clemson's defense, who's very strong, it's like seeing Georgia's defense. The rest don't look like anything. So I think Syracuse and 9.5 is a good play. Under 51, I think is a good play. I don't see how Syracuse is flat. Like they lost to Clemson. I think if anything, they go, wow, we played Clemson tough. So I think they're very strong this week, and probably under is the best way to play this because Syracuse, Virginia Tech's an under team. They're not scoring, and they got a good defense. So 45, you get under 51. It's not a great play, but I think it's a good one. Now we get to the game that's confusing. Pitt 3.5 over Clemson. My spread, Clemson laying 3. Pitt has the second best quarterback in the country in Kenny Pickett's 4-year starter. He was there as a freshman. I remember watching him saying, this guy stinks. Now he's very good. I think he's got like 28 touchdowns and 2 interceptions or something like that. I mean, it's just crazy. They haven't seen a defense like this. Now, Virginia Tech's an under team. They scored 28 on them. Maybe Pitt has a better defense. I do have Pitt as an A because their defense is obviously pretty sound. Do I take Clemson at 9.5? I can't trust their quarterback, but they have a great defense. Over under a 48.5. Now I'm going to borrow from last week's Pitt Virginia Tech game, 28-7. Pitt's been averaging like 50 a game, but now they played a good defense. Virginia Tech, they only got 28. Now they're playing a very, very strong defense in Clemson. They're not going to, so they'll be like 20. They're not going to light up Clemson. Problem is Clemson can't light up anything. If Pitt's defense is as strong as it looks, I got an over under of 48. I love under 54. I don't see the problem. Will they blow out Clemson? They could. Clemson, if they get up 14 on Clemson, I don't see Clemson coming back. I don't, unless he changes quarterbacks. His quarterback is just lousy. I mean, in the Syracuse game, you're seeing passes that aren't. Where's he throwing the ball? There's so many incompletions. I can see Pitt getting some interceptions. I'll see Clemson getting some interceptions. Clemson's defense is not going to be easy for Pitt to score a lot. So torn between getting Clemson in points from a Pitt team and getting the under of 54.5. It's really a tough one. Right now I took the under, but I'm still debating on Clemson at 9.5. But I don't like their quarterback, so that's where I'm at. Todd, yes, thank you, sir. That sounds good. I think it will be a good game. Yeah, I mean that's really you got to look at it without points and try to pick the final score. If you can't pick it, you tease the dog. If you can pick, if one team's clearly better, like here, pick Clemson, pick the score. Maybe Pitt wins by 7 because they got the better quarterback and their defense is pretty strong, but they're not going to blow out Clemson. And I can't see a score where they get over. Maybe one team hits 21-17 or 21-13. Pitt's not going to score 40 in this game. Clemson, ain't going to score 40 in the game. So when you look at the game and pick the final score, you're somewhere in the low 20s and teens. And that's how I am with the UCLA game. But anyway, what do we got? Michigan laying 23.5 to Northwestern. Good God. Michigan, Elvis, now they have an offense. Who knows what they're going to have this week? Northwestern's an under team. Fairly good defense, no offense. Northwestern last week, I think, beat Rutgers. Yeah, 21-7 over Rutgers. Rutgers doesn't have much of a team, much of an offense. Good defense. So Northwestern to get 20 was good. Here against Michigan. Michigan's an A team, so they got a good defense. They got a good offense. They got a good running attack. So they should be able to pound Northwestern pretty good. But I see the over-under of 51, and my first thought is to go over on this game. Picking the score, I think Michigan gets in the 30s. They got in the 30s against Wisconsin. They're going to get in the 30s against Northwestern. How much is Northwestern going to score? Let's say 10. So you're somewhere in the 40s with this game. Now against Wisconsin, they fucked me and went over on a game that should have went under again with Wisconsin. So I don't know. I don't think Northwestern can get much more than 10, 13 points in the game. Michigan's in the 30s, so that gets you real close to teasing the over to 45. But that's what I don't think you're going to get Northwestern with 20. They just don't score. So Michigan, let's take a quick look at Northwestern, what they're doing this year. Let me get to their stats. This is the problem. They don't have a good quarterback, and they got a good defense, so it's really hard to go over. But Michigan, you don't know what they're doing. Okay, so Northwestern, they score 21 a game and give up 24. Helinski's the new quarterback, so I don't know if he's the second stringer. They get 200 yards passing and 170 running, so they're pretty balanced, but not really strong in either. Probably stronger running, 373 total yards. Michigan scoring 39 a game, giving up 15. They pass for 194, run for 250, 441. So are they going to run it down their throats against the defense that 24 is not? Wisconsin's a 19. Illinois is a 24. Michigan State's an 18. Nebraska's a 19. Penn State's a 13. Iowa's a 14. All Big Ten freaking unders. Iowa 14. So they were playing Penn State or Iowa, I'd definitely go under. Here it's a little bit higher, 24, and they do score 21. So they could possibly go over the 45. Might not be bad, but Michigan will definitely put up in the 30s. Northwestern might get. So So you got to go. Let's hope it's 33-14 as 47 gets you over the 45. But it's not a great play. It's hard to play an under team. It's hard to play an A and an under over because the A will score, but the under team won't, and the A team has a good defense. So it's not a real good over. But it should get there. It should be right in that ballpark. Cincinnati 27 over the Navy. Over under is down to 48. It was 50-51. I really like Cincinnati here. Cincinnati, obviously an A team, top team, playoff team. If they keep winning and blowing out, Navy I have as a Z team. They're just weak offensively. They're starting to get a little better. They switch quarterbacks, but he's injured. Lavati or something. He's like questionable with an injury. Over under 48. Cincinnati needs to score a lot, right? And they have a great defense. And Ohio State used to play Navy, and they knew how to defend them, right? You got to know how to defend these Army, Navy, Air Force teams. It's not easy, and it's very hard to practice it because you don't get the speed. But Ohio State knew how to do it. So I look at, since Lou Fickell is from Ohio State, he will know how to defend it. You're laying 27, you go down to 21. I think that's a good play. I think Cincinnati lights it up, and then what's Navy going to do? How are they going to get back in the game running the wishbone or, the options that they run? It's all running. I just don't see how they're, so if it's 30, like this week, if it's 35-0, like last week against UCF, it's a good passing team, even with their backup. But against Navy, they don't really have the defense that's going to hold them. And this is a conference game, by the way. So they're both in the same American conference. But again, Cincinnati has to win big for the playoff, like Ohio State. So lay the 21 against a team that really, the only way Navy has a chance is to get up and then run it. But Cincinnati will know how to defend it. So I don't see how Navy's going to stop Ritter and those guys and Ford. And that's what I like about Ford. Ford's going to get you some touchdowns in the game. So even when they're like maybe running the clock or trying to run the ball, he's going to break a couple for touchdowns. So definitely take Cincy, lay the 21. I wouldn't touch the over-under because since he has to score a lot, maybe go over 42. But Navy's not going to give you a lot of points in the game, and their defense isn't going to do much. So it should be all Cincinnati here. North Carolina State, Miami. North Carolina State lane 3. Miami's first 2 quarterbacks are out. A kid named Van Dyke is the new quarterback. Now, they put up 40 points on North Carolina last week and lost 45-42. So maybe this new kid's good, but what happens when you bring in a new kid, there's no film on him. So you don't know how to defend him. Now, North Carolina State can watch the North Carolina game and go, this is what he likes to do, and then your defense is better. North Carolina State is an A team, very strong team, good quarterback, Larry, a lot of touchdowns, a lot of points. Miami's an over team, so they score. Well, that's more with King, but they have no defense. I look at, Michigan State went down there and beat them. App State had them beat and lost at the end. I think North Carolina State getting 3 points in this game is a joke. I had the spread at 7. It's only 3. I don't see injuries to NC State. So I like NC State here. I'm playing really against Miami. NC State killed BC last week. What was that score? I liked NC State last week, but I didn't play them. They were laying, I think, 7 to BC. Let me find them. Where are they? I wish they put all the conferences together. I got Miami, I got the Pitt game, and then it goes somewhere else. Here it is. NC State was 3 over BC, and we've talked about BC. They won 33-7. So that's my point. They were a road favorite to a better team than Miami, Boston College, and killed them. So I like NC State here, getting 3 points against a very weak Miami team. They had a chance with King, but King's out. He's injured. He's gone. So now you don't have any, the quarterback's not too good, and you got a good quarterback and good defense at NC State. Wake Forest against my Army team. Ooh. I have Wake Forest laying 14 because Wake Forest is an 8 team, and my quarterback on Army is still shoulder questionable. So either it's a separated shoulder, then call him out, or it's, I don't know what it is, but he's not playing, and I want him for his running. So now the spread's only 3. Over under a 52 in an Army game with their backup quarterback. Again, the Wisconsin game should have been 14-13 Army, but they had the strip sack at the end, and then they get the ball right back, and they drive right down and score a touchdown. So Wisconsin got a strip sack to score, but against that vaunted Wisconsin defense, they still put up 14. And they held them to 20. Really, they held them to 13 because, if you get strip sacked at the 1 yard line, it's not your defense's fault. And that's the problem looking at certain statistics. How do you back that out from Army's defense? Now, Army's still an A team, so I don't really need to, but very strong defense in this game. Was Wake Forest, very good team. They're an A team. They haven't played Clemson yet, but they're very strong. Over under a 52.5. See, here I'm going to like the under in the game because the Army quarterback's out. Remember early, I was playing Army under, and they were scoring 50 points a game. And Western Kentucky lit them up pretty good, but the Army still won the game. I don't see Army doing that much against Wake Forest's defense. It'll be like the Wisconsin game. Wake will have a little bit of success. I see this game maybe 28-13 Wake Forest. I don't think Army can score enough against them, but I think Wake can get in the 20s. Over under 52.5. I go under 58.5 in an Army game where 40% of the game Army's running the ball, including 4th downs. Just trying to get, they're not going to get big plays against Wake Forest like they didn't against Wisconsin. So I think this is a good under at 52.5 to 58.5. That's a lot of points. That's 30 to 28 to get to 58, and they're not gonna get that many points. If Wake does get up, Army's not going to get 28. So I think just because 2 strong defenses, I'm going to go under. And the difference is I like this under at 52. I can go under 58. You get a 41-42. It's hard to go under in the game. But in this, it's not hard to go. When you get an under game, but the over-under is 52, it's a much stronger play. I got much more room, much less risk. I'm staying away from the MAC because I have no idea what's going on there. Okay, Oklahoma laying 38.5 to Kansas, over under 67. My line was 35. Oklahoma. Okay, so Radler's sitting out while they bring in the small, fast quarterback who fits their system 100 times better. And he lit up TCU last week, so he's played. He's going to get you a lot more points than Radler was getting. Kansas, again, you could get a high school team to beat Kansas. They're just horrible. Andy, Michigan 31-14. Yeah, that's how I see it, Andy. Absolutely. And what do you do with the over-under of 51? So you go under, and then, that's probably, it's going to be right around there. So it'll be a close game. It'll be like you're saying, about a 20. Michigan might get they might get 37-38, but they're at home and they tend to score a little bit more at home because the crowd and everything. But they do have Michigan State next week, so they could pull their players a little early, or their mind could be on Michigan State. So just have that thought for Michigan this week. Where was I? Oklahoma, Kansas. Oklahoma 38 over Kansas. I really like Oklahoma here. I do think it's a big number, but Kansas is terrible. Let's go to the Kansas. Let's go to these stats. So when you look at it, Kansas is a Z team, which means they have no defense. That's what I like about Oklahoma here is the fact that, all right, let's see. So Oklahoma scores 42 a game, and that's even, okay, now they played Texas. They played TCU. They played Kansas State, who's a pretty good defensive team. So now you got Kansas. Kansas gives up 43 a game. Oklahoma scores 43 a game. So right there, we're going to get at least 45, 50, let's say 55 points for Oklahoma. Kansas scores a whole 16. And a lot of that came in the Duke game when they put up like 30 or something. Jason Bean, no running, 173 yards passing, 149 running, 321 is all the yards Kansas gets. And Bean's not, he's not a great quarterback. So you're giving up 40 points a game. Here comes Oklahoma. Oklahoma has the loss to somebody. Who did they lose to? I think they lost. Maybe not. No, I thought Oklahoma had a loss, but it might be out of the conference. Anyway, and here comes Kansas. Oklahoma cannot afford to lose, especially if they want to make the playoffs. If they want to make the playoffs, they gotta win big, and they're gonna, they're gonna kill Kansas. Like I said, their big game is going to be Oak State. Oak State's very strong this year. Very strong under team, so they don't score a lot. And then Baylor, they're going to have problems with Baylor and that offense. So they can't afford to lose this game. And again, I think they're just going to pile it on. They seem to score a lot. So you got to lay 32. It's a big number. But again, Kansas, they give up 43 a game. Oklahoma's going to score, I'm going to say 60-7 in this game. I mean, over under 67. So that's what they think too. So that's right about what I think the score will be. But I don't see how Oklahoma doesn't get 60 in the game. And Kansas is not going to keep up with them. So Rattler will probably get in the fourth quarter because they'll be up so much. He'll try to prove something. So take Oklahoma, lay the 32. You're playing a Z team who gives up 43 a game. And Oklahoma's found their quarterback who lights it up. So I don't see how they won't score a lot. Cal and Colorado, Cal is an even team. So they score in the mid-20s, give up mid-20s. So not a great defense. Colorado, strong defense. Like I said, shut out Arizona. This is a hard game. Over-under is only 43 in this game. It's insane that it's that low in a Colorado-Cal game. It should be 50. Cal can score a little. Colorado, I mean, they put up 34 in Arizona. They're not that bad, but they do have a weak quarterback and a weak scoring. But they have a very strong defense. So I think it's under, but I think the under is too low. I can't trust Cal laying 3 against this defense. Maybe a 2017 game I could see. I really don't see Cal blowing them out. Yes, Colorado, if they get behind, is in trouble with their quarterback, but I just see this as a low-scoring game. So, again, Colorado's defense will hang in, and Colorado could win the game. Okay, one of my favorites, Utah at Oregon State. I had Utah laying 6. Spreads Utah laying 3, and I love Oregon State and 9 as a home dog. They were a home dog earlier in the year and won. They beat Washington as a road favorite, and they lost to Washington State real late, very competitive, by like 3 points. And they got this guy Baylor, great running back. They got, I think, Nolan, great quarterback. Or at least USC made them look great. It's been funny. Recently, they've been running the ball a lot more than throwing it. Utah, very strong. Well, Utah they're very strong defense. They got them as a B. They were down to Arizona State last week and came on at the end they won 35-21 against a strong Arizona State defense. So Utah, I think, changed quarterbacks. I think this goes. This is maybe one of those 35-31 games. Both teams are B, so they have good defenses, but they have good offenses. And I really like Oregon State's quarterback and running back. Getting 3. The over-under is 56. Utah normally has a good defense, but looking at Arizona State's score was a 56, right on the nose there. So I wondered how they get that over-under. They looked at the Arizona State score and said, yeah, we'll use 56 again. This probably is an over, but Oregon State will run, but if they get down, they're going to throw. Now, they put up 100 points on USC, who I thought had a decent defense. Well, USC I have as a over team, so their defense is not that good. So Oregon State, but they can throw the ball. So I like them as a dog. You get 9. They are very capable of coming back. They're very capable of running the ball down Utah's throat and passing. So I'll be very balanced. Well coached. I like this Oregon State team as a home dog. At Utah, I probably wouldn't have taken it, but Oregon State, I like Oregon State. Utah could be a little flat. It was a big game with Arizona State. They were down. They scored at the end and then got another cheap touchdown. Again, 35-31. I think this is very close. Oregon State could easily win the game. They're a very strong team, and they're a home dog. They probably should be favored in the game, but we get 9 points, absolutely. BYU 4 over Washington State over under 46. Again, I got to go with the home dog here. BYU's okay, but Washington State starting to play well. They changed quarterbacks to Ucla. He lit it up. What did they do last week? I think did they win or came close? Washington State. They beat Stanford 34-31. So they're starting to score. And I got them here. So I got them as an even, but they're probably scoring more because, again, my stats are blended for the whole 7 weeks. Well, they played 7 games. Again, you get them. I had Washington State laying 7 in this game. BYU, for some reason, is laying 4. Yeah, they beat Utah and Arizona State, but they got injuries, and that was at home. Now they're on the road, and Washington State's playing very well. So, again, this is another home dog. I like Washington State in 10. I won't touch the over-under. 56, probably an over with Washington State. We'll see what happens. But I like the home dog better than I like the over-under. UCLA we talked about. I like Oregon as a dog in the game, getting 8.5. TCU West Virginia. TCU's laying 4.5 over under 57. TCU's an over team. They score a lot. They give up a lot. West Virginia is pretty even, so they'll score in the mid-20s, give up in the mid-20s. So when they're like that, I don't want to call them an under team or a B team. It just seems like I don't know what to call them, so I call them an even team. And again, that's just on the stats. So I don't know. This should be a close game. Over under 57. Maybe you take TCU at home because West Virginia, they got to fly back and forth to Texas and Oklahoma the whole year. It's the stupidest move I've ever seen that a team on the East Coast is playing in the Southwest Conference. Half the games you're traveling to Texas, the other half they're traveling from Texas. Anyway, so not a big thought on that one. Probably take TCU at home. Here we go. Iowa State laying 7 to Oak State. Over under 47. Iowa State's a B team. They've been missing Montgomery, who was on the Bears. Was a great running back, so they relied on him. This year they don't have the running back. Brock Purdy's okay, but without the running back, he doesn't look great. Oak State looks very dominant. A very strong defense, very strong under, and they just beat Texas last week. So they did put up a 30 on Texas. My spread was Oak State laying 7. and their spread is Iowa State -7. So whose spread are you going to listen to? Over under 47, I don't know. It's hard to go over with a team like Oak State, who's a strong defensive team, and Iowa State's not that strong of an offense. But I like Oak State the best, getting the 13 here. That's just too many. They just beat they just beat Texas, and I think they beat Baylor. So they held Baylor down. I think they beat Baylor 24-14. So you're beating Baylor in Texas. Iowa State's not nearly as strong offensively as Baylor in Texas. So I love Oak State getting 13. That's way too many points. I don't get that spread. I didn't see an injuries. You see some line injuries and they're questionable. I don't really, they're shuffling in 7 or 8 offensive linemen and 10 defensive linemen. Does it really matter unless it's an Aaron Donald that whoever's injured, there's backups. Alabama. Now I have Alabama 21. They started at 28. They're down to 25. Nobody on Alabama is any good as hurt. Tennessee, their quarterback Hooker is listed as questionable. Last week they lost to Ole Miss 31-26. So they only scored 26 on Ole Miss, and Ole Miss put up 31. So it's Alabama, so we know they're going to score 45, 50 points because that's what Alabama does. They're pick sixes, strip sack, everything they do. Alabama ends up with 45, 50 points. Over under here is 67. They're expecting Tennessee to score a lot. However, I don't know how bad the quarterback. He's listed as questionable. Obviously, if the spread going down, he's probably playing. So let's assume he's playing. Man, it's tough. I'm not going against Alabama here, but they want to keep giving me spread. Now I'm down 25 down to 19. If he does play, again, is it an over? They played Mississippi. So let's say this is the Mississippi game. 42-21 with the late touchdown with 5 seconds left. I'll tell you, this SEC, they're pretty crooked. They know what the point spread is. Kentucky called timeout to score with 4 seconds left to cover last week. And somebody else did, and Ole Miss did it to Alabama, scoring late to cover the point spread. For us, it didn't matter because we played the game over, we played Alabama, so it didn't cover the spread. But maybe it covered it the other way. I think I had Alabama -14 in the game. But anyway, 19 for Alabama, it'll give less than 20 at home. They have a loss. I know they have a loss, so they have to. They can't afford to lose. This is like Cincinnati and Ohio State. They're putting up at least 45, and I don't. There's no way Tennessee's going to keep up with them. Maybe let's say 52-20. I'll be generous, giving Tennessee 20. It's still a healthy 30-point lead win. You're laying 19, absolutely. To the second page, Mississippi State laying 20 to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt is the Massachusetts and Connecticut of the SEC. Their Z team, horrible team. Mississippi State, problem is their quarterback's questionable. Rogers, if he plays, take Mississippi State, they'll blow him out. Otherwise, you got to, how good's the backup, and if he doesn't play, so be careful. If you see the line go to 22, 23, and the quarterback's playing, take Mississippi State here. Now I'm going to call an upset here. Wisconsin laying 3 to Purdue, who just upset Iowa, so they got to be feeling good. They're a home dog to Wisconsin. As we see, they're a terrible offensive team. Both teams are unders. Purdue's an under team, and so is Wisconsin, but they both have good defenses. Normally I would say under, but again, the under here is 39. It went to 40. So you got a 40-point over under on a Purdue game. Where's Drew Brees when you need him? So this should be an under game, even at 40. But I like Purdue in 9. I mean, they went and they destroyed Iowa. It wasn't like a fluke block punt at the end and they win it. they destroyed them. They passed all over the place on Iowa, 26-7. I mean, that's not a fluke. But I think Purdue got some of their passing down. Wisconsin's good at blitzing, but Braum should handle that. The coach, he's seen blitzes before, and I'm guarantee you Iowa blitzed them. So you put up 26 on Iowa, and you hold them to 7, and I think Iowa's offense is better than Wisconsin's. And we'll see that game soon, Iowa-Wisconsin. I just think you gotta take Purdue in 9 because I don't see where Wisconsin. A, their quarterback stinks, but B, Purdue's defense is very good. They're an under team. So an under team means their defense is like giving up less than 20. And I know they played some good. They just played Iowa and held them to 7. So I think this is you money line people take the money line here on Purdue. I'm the teaser person, so I'm going to take 9, but I like that. The over-under is a little too low. I like to get 50 in college because of the stupid overtime rule. They'll be tied at 10-10 and then a touchdown, and they'll score more points in overtime. It's such a stupid rule. So I like that. I definitely like Purdue and 9 in the game. LSU and Ole Miss. Ole Miss laying 9. 76 over under. I got Mississippi laying 3 in the game. How the hell are they laying 9? Did they not see LSU against Florida? With Bote out, the best receiver in college is out. The best cornerback in college, Stingley, is out. They were both out last week, and it was 49-42 to Florida. You're giving me 9.5 and LSU. Now I get 15.5 from a team that has no defense, Mississippi. They're both over teams, so we know Mississippi can score. Coral, their quarterback is listed as questionable. He's a runner too, but I just don't see LSU after putting up 49 at Florida not getting in the 40s here. This game I see same score, 40, 45, 41, somewhere in there, probably over under 76, probably get close. It'll be at least a 65-point game, which makes it 35-30, but I think they'll both be in the 40s. You got to take LSU in 15 here. That's just ridiculous. Way too much after just putting up 49 on Florida. My God, you don't think they're going to put up 49 on Ole Miss after doing it? This isn't Georgia they're playing, and this isn't Alabama. This is Ole Miss. So yeah, there's no way that 15.5 in LSU. That's a good one. Liberty, North Texas. I'm very shocked about. I had Liberty last week. I think they're laying 30 against Louisiana Monroe, who's the Z team in the conference. Louisiana Monroe had lost to South Alabama 55-20, and they beat Liberty outright 34-31. How the hell does that happen? So Liberty now, are they still an A team? Well, statistically they are, but not after losing to Louisiana Monroe. So I can't take them, but they should bounce back. North Texas is another W team. They score maybe 20, give up high 30s. Their defense is terrible, but I don't know what happened to Liberty last week. So I don't know what's going on. There could be a key injury that I see like a running back or a lineman who I don't pay much attention to, although Liberty throws it all over. So maybe the quarterback got tweaked, but he's not listed questionable this week. Maybe they're not talking about the injury. So I'm going to stay away, but Liberty after the loss should light up North Texas, but I think they're like Buffalo. I can't play them anymore. UTSA against Louisiana Tech. I've got UTSA laying 17 in the game. The spread's 6. Okay. UTSA is an A team. Frank Harris, good quarterback. Sonorsi, the running backs, one of these, he's like Tyreek Hill. You can't tackle the guy. He'll get you 3rd and 3. He'll get you the first down 100% of the time. They were down to Memphis 21-0, and they beat them at Memphis 31-28. UTSA is a very strong team. This is the A team in the conference. Louisiana Tech's an over team, means their defense is weak. Again, they beat Memphis. I got 6.5 when I should be laying 11, and I'm going to lay 0. Take UTSA all day. That one you can take to the bank. That's a very strong play. UTSA even against Louisiana Tech. My buddy asked about Louisiana Tech against somebody last week against who was that? LTech played UTEP, right? They played UTEP, and he wants LTech, and I go, no, I wouldn't play them. They lose 19-3 to UTEP. UTEP is an under team, so they have a pretty good defense, but LTech, who's an over team, didn't show up. So here again against an 8 team, so that means they're as strong a defense as UTEP. So LTech's not going to get a lot of points. UTSA, just with their running back, Frank Harris, good quarterback. They'll definitely win the game, probably by 20. What do we got? Brett, Purdue on the money line. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Wisconsin's terrible. I mean, now Army's a very good team, so don't discount that. And then, yeah, they lost to Penn State and Michigan and Notre Dame. Notre Dame's okay. They're not superstars. Cincinnati showed you who the true team is there. But yeah, Purdue, I mean, it's I don't know. It's a short money line because it's only a 3-point spread, but absolutely. Purdue should be favored, I think, in the game. The way Graham Mertz is playing for Wisconsin, I don't know how that guy's still the starting quarterback. I mean, what is this coach looking at? Absolutely ridiculous. And then he beat out the Notre Dame quarterback, Kahn, to have him transfer. How bad's Kahn if Mertz beat him out and Mertz can't throw a pass 10 yards? Okay. San Diego State, good game. San Diego State Air Force, 2 A teams. San Diego State runs the ball a lot, has a good defense. Air Force, they've gotten the pass into the game. So it's like Army, but with a decent quarterback. I like their quarterback. I got the spread 10. They're only laying 3. Again, another gift over under 40, which I think is too low. I almost think over 34 is the play. But San Diego State, they just run and play defense, so it's hard to go over in a San Diego State game. But Air Force only laying 3. You get Air Force in 3. I like Air Force in that game. Absolutely. You get 3 points, and it's just, I think they're going to win. I think they're a better team. They're at home. I think they'll win. And they're very balanced. They have a good passer, so running the wishbone, but with a good quarterback, and they'll score on you. And San Diego State, didn't they? I thought they had a tough game last week against nobody. Let's see if I can find them. Yeah, maybe it was the week before, or maybe they played. No, okay, they played the Friday night. Okay, so they beat San Jose State, who's an under because they don't have a quarterback, 19-13. So they played one of their under games, but San Jose State's their quarterback's out. That's why they're struggling this year. But not Air Force. They're on all cylinders, and I think they just beat Boise, right? So look for Air Force. Here you're getting 3. Now, let's say 24-14, something like that. Air Force wins. USC Notre Dame, what used to be, and I love the Anthony Davis game at USC when they score 100 points in the third quarter. Notre Dame laying 6.5, 57 over under. USC's an over team. This means their defense is not very good, but they can score. I do like Slovis because he went to the Kurt Warner camp. As soon as I heard that, I said, well, why aren't you starting Slovis? And then the guy got hurt, Daniels. He goes to Georgia because Slovis beats him out. Now at Georgia, he gets beat out by, I think, Stenson, the much better quarterback. So Notre Dame, 6.5, 57. Do we love Notre Dame that much? Is Notre Dame going to get us a W even against SC in a rivalry game? That's a tough one. I don't really love SC in 13 either. It's such a weird game. Cincinnati showed you how to beat Notre Dame, but even there, Notre Dame put up some points on Cincinnati. Cincinnati dropped a few touchdowns, or they would have beaten them by another 20 points. But USC doesn't have the defense to beat Notre Dame here. I think Notre Dame wins the game, let's say 28-24. I think it'll be a close game. I think Notre Dame wins. I think over 51 is a good play, only because Notre Dame can't run the ball, so they've been throwing the ball a lot. And USC throws the ball very well and has no defense. So when you have this type of scenario, USC, good offense, bad defense, this is where I'm going to revert back to the Oregon State game. And Oregon State put up 48 points with a better offense than Notre Dame, but still a passing offense. They threw the ball all over the place on USC, and I think Notre Dame will do the same thing. USC on Notre Dame. Again, the Wisconsin game doesn't count because there was 2 pick sixes by Notre Dame at the end of the game to run the score up. So you can't really, you might get a pick six, but you can't count on it. So I think Notre Dame wins it because they can pass the ball all over the place. But I think over is your best bet, over 51. I'm going to mark that down, over 51. I just think that's 28-24 gets you over, and I can't imagine with USC's offense and defense, they're not going to get in the 30s here, or high 20. But I can't imagine Notre Dame's not going to. They're not going to shut them down, but Notre Dame, they're going to put up a big number. So I can see this game 30s to 20, mid 30s, lower 20s is a 60-51. Yeah, this is an over game. I don't know. I mean, USC could pull the upset, but I think Notre Dame gets the win. And I'm definitely afraid of USC in 12.5 with that defense. Great game, Nevada and Fresno State, right where I thought. I had Fresno State laying 3, and that's the line. Fresno State, great quarterback and Hardner. Nevada, great quarterback, Carson Strong. Over under here, 64, which is about right. So that's over under 50. So you tease it to 58. What do you need for 58? 30-28. So you need a 30-28. Fresno State went to UCLA and beat them in a 65-point game. Nevada went to Boise and beat them. They went to Cal and beat them. Nevada's got no problem being a dog. I have both teams marked as A's, which means they both have good defenses, good offenses, and I just told you, good quarterbacks. I actually think Nevada and 9 is the best play in this game. Carson Strong, very good quarterback. Another one I would probably see drafted pretty high. And Fresno State's quarterback, Hayner, I would see him drafted pretty high. He went into UCLA and beat him. So that's another thought on the Oregon UCLA, Todd, is that Fresno State went there and beat him. Oregon can certainly do the same thing. So UCLA is not like this dominant, strong defense as Fresno State proved. I just think this game remains close. They're both A teams. This is for the conference title. So I just see I see both. I see it's an even game. I think you take the dog in an even game, and I like the 9 in Nevada here. Last but not least, Hawaii laying 18 to New Mexico State. Hawaii's an over team. Decent quarterback. They score a lot against weak teams like New Mexico State's a W. So they score like 20 and they give up like 35. So if you need a late night game, take Nevada. I assume that's on at the 10. That's the 10:30 game. Hawaii will be the midnight game because it's in Hawaii. But if you really need one, I would say maybe probably take the game over. Hawaii doesn't have a defense, and they can score. New Mexico State, who knows? I mean, this is just one of those Z teams. You think Minnesota beats Maryland on the money line? I don't know. I didn't comment on it because I don't really love the game. I don't know which teams show up. The Maryland team that got killed by Iowa and Ohio State, the Minnesota team that beat Nebraska. Again, Minnesota was a home dog and they beat Nebraska. How are they going to do as a home favorite when they lost to Ball State? So there's a lot of risk here. Tagovailoa could have a good game here, although Minnesota I have as an under. Let's take a look at the stats. I'll try to help you that way. Okay, so let's go to the Big Ten. All right, so Minnesota. Let's do Maryland first. Maryland scores 30, gives up 29. So basically 30-30. Tagliavoa throws for 311, mostly 5-yard passes, and run for 136. So they're going to be in trouble in the red zone. So if they got to score outside the red zone, because once they get in it, they don't run the ball. I do see a guy, Davis, as a decent running back, but obviously didn't show up against Iowa or Ohio State. Who we got? Minnesota. Minnesota, I got as an even team. They score, well, they're almost an under team. They score 25 and give up 20. So they got a good defense. Tanner Morgan I like, but they lost Ibrahim. So they lost the running back, although the running back last week against Nebraska looked good. They throw for 154 and they run for 190. So they're a much better running team with a 345 total yards. Well, I mean, I'd rather you play Nevada in 9 than the money line on this game. What attracts you to the money line here? Minnesota beating Nebraska. Is that what you're looking at? UTSA, Notre Dame, 2-team teaser. I mean, if you like Notre Dame, I definitely like UTSA. Notre Dame, like I said, is a little bit of risk. Maybe play the game over. But I think Notre Dame wins because I don't think USC can stop it. But you got these rivalry games, so you got to be careful in it. So, yes or no? I'd say take the game over. I'd say no. Go UTSA, and if you're like a Notre Dame guy, then take Notre Dame over. I think is a better way to play it with Notre Dame. 57. You only got to go over 51. I think that's a better. I mean, Notre Dame should win it. I mean, but if I'm betting money, and the best way to bet that game is Notre Dame over, because USC will score. But I love UTSA absolutely. I'd rather you see them play them with Oak State or Oregon State or Cincinnati, Ohio State, those teams. But if you're, like I said, if you're a Notre Dame fan and that's your team, you're going to watch the game, which it looks like that's what you are, then yeah, you can play it either way, whatever you're comfortable. But should be a close game, I think. I think USC does. But Notre Dame has a way of pulling these out. What was I looking at? So Hawaii, New Mexico State's terrible. So it's a bet against. So that's week 8. I took Coastal Carolina tonight. It's 4.5. I saw it jump to 5, 4.5. I love their quarterback. Grayson McCall, best quarterback. He's the best quarterback in college. Let's put it this way. He's much better than Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, and Zach Wilson. Okay, that's how good he is. He's better than all those guys. My thoughts on Western Michigan, Toledo. Well, you're really getting me, Brent. Like I said, the MAC's been very, very inconsistent, so I'm kind of staying away from them. But to give you my thought, Western is a 2-point favorite over Toledo. Western's the over team. Toledo's the under team. Toledo lost to some really bad team last week. And Western blew out somebody. Let me see if I can get those. So Western blows out Kent, who was an over team. So they had a bad defense. Here you got Toledo with a good defense. They lost to Central, who's a pretty good offensive team, 26-23. My thoughts on the game. I would say take the dog. Central's a good offensive team, good quarterback. What's the spread here? The Western's 2. Yeah, Toledo an 8, I think, is a home dog. Probably good. They're an under team, so I like under teams versus over teams as a dog. I don't like under teams when they're favored against a weak team because they just don't score. That's why they're an under team. They have a good defense but no offense. And in this case, they don't have much of an offense, but their defense should hold in. I had Toledo laying 3, so they're getting 2. You get 8. Yeah, I don't love it, but yeah, I would probably take Toledo in the game. What else do we got for me? Now is the type of a time of year where, as I'm pointing out, you watch your Cincinnati's, your Ohio States, your Alabamas, Oklahomas. When they play these weak teams, they blow them out because otherwise, if they only who's Ohio State? They got Indiana. If Ohio State wins 27-21, they're going to drop in the polls because the polls are all bullshit, but they're all based on, oh, they won 62-3. Look how good they are. And that's the problem with the polls. I never liked the polls. I think the playoff should be you win your conference, you're in the playoff. That's your point. So I like that, but I like so keep an eye on those type of teams. That's really what you want to do. Okay. That's what you're looking to do is go with those teams. So keep that in mind. They've got to blow out, and so Cincinnati, Oklahoma. Did Oklahoma lose again? Why do I think they lost the game? But definitely Alabama lost the game. Ohio State lost. They got to win. Cincinnati wants to be in the playoff. Keep an eye on them. Utah versus Oregon. You think Utah continues to play well and gets the win? No, I've taken Oregon State in that game because I think Oregon State's a very good team. Strong quarterback. They got a good runner. They're at home. Utah, yeah, they look good, but Oregon State's very good. So I like the home dog in this game. Will Utah win? Maybe they could win. It's about an even game. Utah beat Arizona State. Arizona State was in control early, and then Utah got a teurnover, I think, and then beat them by 14. But that was at home, and they could be a little flat here. So in a teaser, I like Oregon State getting 9. I think that's the way to go. Anyway, so keep that in mind as far as you're looking for live dogs like Oregon, like Oklahoma State, like Syracuse, Clemson. You're looking for playoff teams: Cincinnati, Ohio State, Alabama, Oklahoma. That's what you want to do. You got Oklahoma playing a weak Kansas team. They'll win big. Cincinnati, Navy, they'll win big. Ohio State, Indiana, they'll win big. And then it's a very interesting Pitt Clemson game, as I've said. I think that becomes a very, this will be the real Pitt. If Pitt wins this game, then I'm betting Pitt the rest of the way. If they can get by Clemson, I don't know. I think they can. I think they have the quarterback to do it. But this Clemson defense is extremely strong. And, again, I'm taking the game under. But this will be if Clemson wins the game, then then it'll be a different story. But Clemson is not normally a dog in conference. So this will be very interesting. I'm thinking of taking Clemson too. But I think the under is the better, more prudent play because Pitt also has a very strong defense. So strong defense plays strong defense. I'm taking under, and it's high enough at 48.5 to go under. So keep that in mind. And that's about it. Air Force, Nevada, strong dog. LSU, I think, is not a strong dog, but a good dog. Purdue's a strong dog, getting 9 from Wisconsin, who I'm not quite sure why they're favored in the game. If Army's quarterback plays, I would take Army in 9. He makes the difference, but again, he's been hurt and he's still listed as questionable with the shoulder, so I don't know what to make of that. Otherwise, I think that's it. I think I covered it all, Alabama and everything else. So Anyway, good luck to you guys this weekend. I'll be back tomorrow with the pros, probably a little bit earlier. Had to do a little shopping today and I went out relaxing. So anyway, you're welcome, Brett. That's what I'm here for, to teach and try to avoid these idiots on the radio and the TV. I don't know. I look at them like, how are you determining your picks? And I love like NBC before the Sunday night game, and they ask like 10 people. They don't use a line. They just say, well, take the pick. And, well, I think they're going to have a good game. No, you bet it against, they got a weak defense. Notre Dame, USC. Why would I take Notre Dame? USC's defense sucks. However, USC's got a good offense. Notre Dame's defense is okay. But that would be the reason to take Notre Dame, is you're betting against USC's defense. That makes sense. You can't just say, because I think they'll win. UTSA, Purdue, two-team. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Take UTSA. And like I said, Purdue's a live dog. Again, Alabama, Oak State, Oregon, those are all live dogs. If you're looking for maybe a 4 or 5 team teaser, throw all those in there. That's what you're looking for, is that when you see all those dogs, you don't play it expensive, but there's this is the thing. When I first looked at this, I didn't like this week. And I hate this week's pros. I'm looking at it and I'm going, Jesus. Yeah, you got 17-point favorites, you got 15-point favorites, you got a 12-point favorite, a 10-point favorite. This is crazy. This is pros. This shows you how bad the pros are. But so I didn't really like it when I looked at college at first, but then when I start putting my codings in, the A teams, the Z teams, the E, the unders, then it makes a whole lot of sense. And then when you get the numbers and the over-unders, then it really helps you out. But anyway, so that's what I think. Let me know if you have anything else. You can go to the site, www.teaserking.com. You'll get my email. You can email me there. So anyway, good luck on college. I was smoking hot last week. I was like 12-2 or 14-2. Everything hit. All the tease the dog games came in. And that's really the difference. Some weeks they don't come in. Even though it's a good play. So all we can do is make good plays and then just hope they go the way they should. All right, everybody, www.teaserking.com. Have a great day and good weekend, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.